So by checking the DNA of people living today, we find those with the same genetic markers. This map shows the distribution of men with a marker on their Y chromosome called M130. We can wind this film backwards and follow the migration route they took, which was the first complete one out of Africa around 60,000 years ago. That was the basis for the study conducted by Spencer Wells and others in 2000, which involved collecting DNA samples from indigenous people all over the world. Wells found distinctive genetic markers and traced each back to its source, marked here by red circles. We're retracing the migration paths our ancestors took backwards through time, and this is where they started, once again in Africa. Because the mutations happen at a fairly regular rate, these ancestral markers can even be dated, so the timescale on this map marks the progress of each migration. Populations that stay put and don't migrate will, of course, have a lot more of these genetic markers, so it's not surprising that we find the greatest genetic diversity in Africa. But the greatest of all belongs to a people whose ancestral homeland extended until recently from South Africa to the Rift Valley. Wherever you're from in the world, whatever mitochondrial or Y chromosome DNA markers you have, they have it too. They're called the San, or Bushmen, and according to the DNA evidence, they're the living ancestors of all modern humans.
Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about the true origin of white people. Now there's a lot of videos on this and everybody's got their, speculatory, false in many cases, origin of white people. Now I'm not trying to sit here and say, I'm saying I'm dealing on the facts. I'm dealing on evidence. I'm not trying to insult anyone or to try to put myself on a pedestal or say that what I'm about to show you and talk about is, better than what they're talking about. But it's just to say that if you're really looking, if you're going to deal in facts, not fiction, then watch this video. If you want to deal in fiction, there's a whole lot of videos on this subject. You can watch them and you'll get all kinds of stuff. And in the end of the day, they're not going to come to you with necessary facts. Some of them do, but a lot of them are just going to be a bunch of people's opinions and theories and speculations, and then they're going to make a concrete guess, and then they're going to say, well, this is what happened. But I'm going to tell you just on the basis of facts, common sense, and proof. During this video, while I'm talking, there's going to be lots of pictures that are going to go by. I want you to look at each and one of those pictures very carefully, because each one, it would take me forever to basically break down each picture and explain to you things. But I think common sense just kind of like, if you look at it, you can see for yourself. Like the saying goes, a picture tells 1,000 words or something like that. Okay, so let's dive into it. Now, I did a video before this about, why it's important to be white. So this is basically kind of building off of that, but really it's origin and why I want to go into that. Now, as a child growing up, I used to always feel this way until, the actual proof. Some people in this world, whether you want to call them star children or whatever you want to call them, they have they're intuitive, they have intuition, they have feelings, they have things that time and patience always proves to be true. Because see, lies are like, they're like a fashion model. They come and go. They don't stick around. You know what I'm saying? But the truth is always going to stay firm. Okay. I always believe that white people originally derived from from albinos. Now, the reason why I say that is because the proof is all around you. It's not because I'm just saying that or because, wow, this is an original idea. This is not an original idea from me. There's other people who believe this too. But it's kind of like it's downplayed. It's like they rather you believe that there's some aliens or there's some special race or they're the what it is, that stuff with the blue-eyed blonde hair stuff. What is that they call it? The Aryan race, all of that nonsense. They would rather you think this. They'd rather you think that they're better than you. They'd rather them think that they're special in relation to everybody else than for the truth to be that it's not really that they're special at all. You know, that they're actually just, people who were derived from dark skinned people. And from there, because they're, a lot of people, don't research this, but if you do your own research, because again, I'm not trying to hand it all to you, I'm just talking about it with you. I expect you to do your own research and find it out. I'll leave a link in the description with this website that basically verifies everything that I'm saying. I actually took some pictures from that website, you know, and because I was like, wow, finally, because this it's like there's so much lies out there now, and then with YouTube and all these other vehicles from which people can just spread their lies and poison, they will spread it, and they will get all the likes and subscribers, and people that just don't care to want to really know the truth. They just want to hear things that cater to their low desires. I'm not trying to do that to you. I'm not trying to profit from these videos. I'm not profiting from these videos. I'm not trying to, mislead you. I'm telling you things that your own common sense, your own two eyes, your own sensibility should put it together and see that it's the truth. Black people are the only people, and black meaning like Indian, black, all of it's black, in the sense of, not black in the sense of true blackness, because they're, of course, black is not a color and they're not really black skin, but they're brown skin. But to say that these people are the only people that can bring forth white people. Now, there's no evidence of white people bringing forth black people or brown people. There's no evidence of that. It's absolutely none. But there's evidence to support that white people come from black people. And I'm using these terms because it's the only way that you're going to understand what I'm talking about. If I try to use it another way and try to be clever, you ain't going to follow me. So understand, I'm using the term white people. I don't really use that. I use different things. I don't use black people. But I have to speak to you in your language and what you would understand. Now, and that's because the terminologies you use is that mistakenly. So anyway, black people or brown people can bring forth white people, and with straight hair, with blue eyes, because there's a theory out saying that, they can say that the blue-eyed people can be brought back all the way to one man. Again, oh gosh, this is speculatory. This is not real. This is not a fact. This is a concrete guess again. Because if you can see that blue-eyed people, blue-eyed and blonde hair comes from black people, that's a fact. Black people to this day are over there in Africa and certain places are bringing forth albinos, which have blonde hair and blue eyes and straight hair. Even if their hair is not straight, their children's hair is straight. So therefore, if you look at it from that standpoint, now I'm gonna build on this too. Now, over there, if you do your research, you'll find that a lot of those albinos could not stay in that region because they were dying. They were dying off because of the skin, because they don't have no melanin, because that's really all it is. White people just lack melanin. Blue-eyed people lack melanin in their eye. This is a fact. This is not my opinion. This is a fact. Their skin lacks melanin. This is a fact. So basically, this deficiency is what makes them beautiful to all the ignorant folks. But that's not really the case. You understand what I'm? In reality, it's just a deficiency. It's just like if you see an apple and it's supposed to be red, but it turns out to be, I don't know, purple. You're going to be like, oh, wow, this must be a magical purple. No, it's not. It's just a deficiency. It's wrong. By nature, it's supposed to be red or green, if that's the kind of apples that it brings forth. So basically what I'm saying is, this is not to insult white people or to put them down, but it's to say that just to deal on facts, not fiction, not a person's opinion, on facts. They lack melanin in their skin. They lack melanin in their eyes. If they have blue eyes, green eyes, and light eyes, they lack melanin. That's a fact. So moving along. Their skin lacks melanin. That's a fact. Moving along. So now that we understand that the melanin they lack in their skin, which, where they can't absorb the sun rays as vitamins, where it really can affect them and also kill them, that's a deficiency. So now that we establish that, then we know that that's really, what's happened to their color. Now, okay, let's look on the spreading of the so-called white man, right? Now, if you look at that, if you take a whole bunch of them, because I'm sure by now you've seen these pictures. I have them in rotation showing on this video of the proof of white people being born from over there in India and over there in Africa. Being born and having red hair, blonde hair, blue eyes, and so on and so forth. So that's a fact. I can make all kinds of theories and guesses, but if I can show you a fact, come on now, that's irrefutable proof. So they're being born there. So that eliminates where the blue-eyed, blonde-haired person come from. Now we're going to go into why some of these things actually became an issue. Now, their color, their skin lacking in melanin, as I was getting into earlier, was a problem for them. They started to really have these horrible freckles and skin problems, and the sun was killing them over there in Africa. They had to move. They had to go to northern areas like northern Africa. They moved up there to like Morocco or up there in further regions where it was more comfortable for them, where they weren't dying off. So they spread out and moved. For one, for safety. Then there's probably was, maybe in some cases bigotry, because bigotry is in all human beings, unfortunately, or ignorant human beings. So there probably was dark-skinned people there that thought that these people were cursed or thought that something was wrong with them. So they was probably picking on them and wanted them out of here. Or you had some of them that thought that they were special because they were light and thought that their hair was light and that there was something unique about them, because people interpret things their own way. But I'm not dealing on interpretations. I'm dealing on facts. So this is why you'll see pictures in this video where you'll see northern Indians and you'll see southern Indians. You'll see northern Chinese and you'll see southern Chinese. And you can see northern blacks and you can see southern blacks, or people who are under the sun on a continual basis. And you can see that the sun does darken their skin. They are much more darker, but yet still retain the same features. So we understand that climate does also have a great deal and to do with people's migrations from people's color and the darkening of their color. I mean, because, even for myself, I don't want to really kind of get into myself because I don't want to make it about me, but I caught a tan. When I moved from the northern region and moved to the southern region, I got extremely dark. I still can get burned by the sun. I can still have effects of the sun, where I can't be out in the sun for too long, where I start to really soar, man, and it feels like somebody threw hot fire on me. I know I get that from my mother, but the whole point of what I'm saying is that, that's what happened. That's what happened to me. This is what happened to a lot of people. This is a fact, not fiction, not a concrete guess, not a theory. I'm not theorizing. I'm telling you the facts. So the preoccupation with color is an insanity. It's just as much of an insanity as a person being gay. It is a mental deficiency. Because for us to focus on color, like, I don't know if you've ever known people who've had roaches before. You notice there's always like a whole lot of brown roaches. And then once in a blue moon, you see like a white roach. And it's an anomaly. You're like, wow, what the hell is that? That's a white roach. It's a white roach, right? Okay, you follow where I'm going with this? So that white roach, and they say this after 1 million roaches, you get a white roach. Okay, why is this? It goes back to what I said in another video, on one of my other videos, when I quoted a saying from the Quran, when it said that God made people of various colors so that you may know each other. So therefore, and it's funny that the very book that people hate and think this and think that about can have such wisdom, whereas you read the Bible, you ain't got nothing. A bunch of allegories, a bunch of this, that, and a bunch of corruption and a bunch of missing pieces and parts and all of this type of stuff. But you can go to a book that basically tells you right, straight, blunt, and forward that God created man of many colors, that they may know each other. So that explains why some people, are just everybody's of various colors. You can take 10 white people and put them in a line, and you'll find that they have various different colors, even though they're white. You're not going to have them as the same color. It's the same with black people. So, what does that mean? Does it really matter? Of course not. But it matters to the ignorant. And this is why I have to put out these videos, because there's so many ignorant individuals in this world that it's like it's almost like, any good people or mindful people are a minority here. And what's dominating is the stupid, the jackasses, the ignorant folks, the racisms, the dummies, the morons. Those are the popular ones. Those are the ones. It's just like in school. The popular ones were the morons. That kid that was always joking around, playing around, he was popular. That whore, that slut that was sleeping around with everybody, she was popular. It's the same thing. It translates in our life even when you get out of school. It's the same thing. They put you in a box. You're either a geek, you're a jock, you're a cheerleader, you're this, you're that, you're a gang member. It's the same thing. It's like the same psychosomatic, crazy mental problems that human beings have translates in everything. You can't escape it when you're a kid, and you can't escape it when you're an adult. It's everywhere. And color shouldn't matter. That's the beauty of us all. You can take 10 Indian people and put them together, and you'll find all these different shades. You can take 10 Asian people and put them together, and you'll find 10 different shades. Everybody has their own. That's just what it is. Color should not matter. But unfortunately, to the majority of ignorant dummies, color matters. And really, it matters, like I say, because it's never really about the color. It's really about the classism. It's about the rich against the poor. In order to keep these people rich, they have to keep you down. And in order to keep you down, they have to have a reason. Because if we was all one color, then what would be the reason for another man to rule over another man? If it was, you know what I'm saying, there would be no reason, because it'd be like, why is you got to have this? Why can't I have it? And that's a rightful question. Why should you get this and I can't get it? So in order to set the dynamics of evil in this world, such as the devil, Iblis, whatever you want to call him, the Lucifer, Asmodeus, whatever name, Diabolus, whatever you want to call him, that dude and his people decided, let's introduce systems into their world, because in the end, his greatest power is influence. So he has to reach you in your mind in order to affect your heart, in order to have you react upon these things out of ignorance. Okay, so let's deal with that. Let's introduce the money system. So now, through the money system, you'll be able to kill each other over having money, such as people do to this day. Let's introduce racism. Now, they can't do this to dogs and cats and chickens and everybody else that's of other colors. They can't do that to them. No, they have to do it with us. Because you know why? Because there's something about us. And you know what it is? It's because God made us special unto himself. And because of that, out of envy, he has to create and inject these systems in order to divide and conquer. Let me repeat that again. He introduces these systems into our psyche to divide and conquer. So therefore, if I can say, well, you're dark skinned, so there's something wrong with you, or your hair is not straight, there's something wrong with you, or I can say, do the reverse. I can say, well, you're light skinned, there's something wrong with you, or your hair is stringy, there's something wrong with you. I can do this. I can create the division, and then from there, I can create the hate. You see where I'm going with this? You follow how it just escalates. It just then it graduates into some kind of violence, some kind of abuse, or something that leads to us shaming ourselves as spiritual beings and turning into monsters, from which we practice racism, which really is really just classism. But we'll just call it racism because that's the cover. But it's really classism. As one people or tribe of people thinking that they are better than another people and oppressing them because they feel like they have the right to, from whatever that difference that they feel that they want to separate themselves from the other tribe. See, there's already steps on a higher order of things. You don't know this, and I don't expect any of you to believe me. I really don't care because I look forward to it manifesting itself. And when it's true, on a higher order of things, that color stuff is already being resolved. But I'm not going to give out the details because I got to keep all of this stuff quiet. I'll just deal with the facts. But let's just say that stuff is already being worked out. And let's just say people are not going to have the power to do it. Well, let's put it this way. You'll be the ones acting it out. That's the best way I can put it without giving away nothing. But let's just say that this ignorance is going to stop on this planet. You fools who practice racism are going to be stopped. You don't believe me? Stick around. So, getting back to what I'm saying, white people, by facts, not just proving it from the images I'm showing you, just do your history, do the images. Now I'm talking about if you can find all of the statues and the images of the people that were ruling. The Greeks were black, but most people don't know that. You know what I'm saying? Look at the original images before they started whitewashing them and changing them into these features. Go to the original images. Go to the original images of Apollo. Go to the original images of all of the Greeks or Greek boy or this or that. Go to the museums where I probably shouldn't even say this because they probably try to, push those things away or take them away from the museums and stuff. But anyway, they're trying to lie to you and tell you that white people are from this or from that or originated from the Neanderthal. No, there's mixing all the time. There's mixing of people and tribes all the time. The only people that are of difference than a human, but still are subjugated to the human, world, but yet have certain differences in their bloodline, are the people who have mixed with the alien races. Those are the people that have those differences that everyone else, a white person and a black person, can have the same blood, the same genetic, same code and all of that. And then yet this one particular white or this one particular black has these different things in their DNA, the DNA code. That's because they were interfered. Now, you don't have to be, a religious person, but let's say if you believe in God and you believe in the scriptures, then you can see it says that they were mixing those Nephilim or those beings, those of them that came down, whatever you want to call them, there's many names for them. They come down, they mix in with the earth women, and they bring forth these anomalies. But these people that they bring forth, because they have some lineage to them, they empower them. They give them certain secret knowledges, certain tactics, certain tools, certain magic, which really is just a new term. Which in modern day terms is science, because science is nothing but magic. But I'll make a video on that one day down the line. So, if you look at it from that standpoint, they have already interjected in our society. Now, there's a lot of things to prove that. If you don't want to believe in the Bible, you can go to the Sumerian, tablets. If you want to go to that, there's so many evidences of this in various different tribes of men that you can find that they have mixed in with human civilization. Therefore, that's why you have certain people that have the right to rule. Now, they technically, by God, they don't have the right to rule, but this is just what's happening in our society, and why you have these kings and presidents. What the freak? Why do we don't need any of this. Logic, just common sense, we don't need any of these people. We don't. But they're set in place for a reason, and that's to keep the populace under control. Again, classism. It all falls into that. Racism is classism. Politics is classism. The governments, all they do is show that it's classism. Why are these people got to be elected? What's so special about this guy? What does he know that the other man doesn't know? No, it has nothing to do with that. It's classism. It's people rich and poor, classism. That's all it is. It's people who think that they're better than another people by using certain tools, color, money, you don't have enough money, where you live, your location, all of that, so on and so forth. So there's always a tool or way that they can or use against you. It could be down to people who are skinny, racism against people who are fat, or so on and so. It's so many tools that they can use to goes back to the root, divide and conquer. See, people, it's very simple. The simplicity of this madness that's what makes it so almost like you almost don't even want to believe what I'm saying, because it's so simple that it's just that simple. That's it. It's just as simple as it's classism. It's just a certain people thinking that they're better than another people and finding tools and some reason to think to do that. So if you understand that, then you can understand what I'm saying and understand that white people, that whole terminology, that ideology has to go. Black people, same thing. Indian people, same thing. Chinese people, same thing. And whoever want to call themselves this people is the same thing. We're all people. And we're all of the Adamic race. Some of us are mutated, but most of us aren't. But a lot of us, most of us that aren't, are mentally deficient, because we don't see what we're doing to our world, to each other, and how this is translating in our life, our everyday life. And why a racist person being racist against another person is a crime. And like I said in another video, those people, it should be a law. They should be arrested. And if they practice any violence towards that, they should be eliminated. And if they're arrested and they don't show reform, then they get booted out of the country. Plain and simple. That solves the problem. Because if we're going to just keep going on with this, then we're just going to sit around while those who are in the know, because trust me, there are always those who are in the know and those who don't know. And most of the people don't know, and those who are in the know. They're going to play this card until they know that they can't play it anymore. And that's what's happening now. Because the truth is coming out. And white people are originated as albinos. It's a fact. Read up what they write about. The ancients wrote about the people who are white or white-skinned, pale-skinned, pink-skinned, really. Pink and light pink. Read what they wrote about them. Look at the fact that black people, dark-skinned people, brown people, whatever you want to call them, can bring forth white people. Think about what I said about the roaches, how there could be 1 million roaches and then all of a sudden one white roach comes. Think about what I said about, God, said that in the Quran that he made people of many colors that you may know each other. Is this how we want to know each other? By dividing ourselves by color, races, classism, poor, rich, whatever, fat, skinny, ugly, pretty. The devil has done his work well. And, to this day, you can just see just how good his work has affected everyone. But if you have any sense, any logic, any wisdom, any understanding, if you ponder, if you have any sense, then you'll understand what I'm saying. Is that the simplicity of the truth is the reason why people cannot see it. Because it's made to seem this way, it's made to seem that way. And the white man loves to masquerade. He loves to lie. That's one thing you learn about, unfortunately. And this is not all white men, but those who claim to be white and love that ideology and thinking themselves to be better than their fellow brothers that are all in the world. Now, they love to lie. They love to manufacture truth. Why do you think they're the ones who make the best movies? Tell the best stories? Because they lie. They love lying. They love manipulating you. They love masquerading you. They can smile in your face and shake your hand and hate you really in their heart. That's why they always have trouble expressing themselves. Because black people externalize. They're very vocal. They say how they feel. And white people internalize. And they keep how they feel buried. That's the reason why they end up doing all this mass killing and school shootings and all of this stuff. And they invent all of this fearful weapons of mass destruction because they internalize. They have fears. I remember, and this is the last thing I'm going to say on this video, and I thank you for being patient and listening to this video, because I know sometimes it can be a little long. I don't try to keep you. I just want to help you. And if you allow me, that's all I'm doing. I don't want nothing else from you. And if you can just give me a little ear, a little time, I'm always grateful for that. Now, there was one time I ran into a white cop, right? She was blonde haired, white skin, you know, and we was talking by Applebee's. I remember it was right in front of Applebee's, and she was just talking, just shooting the breeze, you know, because she was like kind of just, I guess she was just like patrolling that area, and she was on foot, and she was just walking around, and we just got to talking, and she was telling me how, you know, she lived, you know, and she lives in a, you know, white upper class or middle class neighborhood, you know, and she was saying how she has a lot of friends who are black and they live in the low class neighborhoods, and how they just always having a good time. They're always partying and just enjoying each other's company, loud, having fun, shooting the breeze, you know, barbecuing all the time, just having a good time. And she was saying how, you know, over there in her community, these white people are always afraid of losing their money, worrying about this, worrying about that, afraid of this, afraid of that. You know what I'm saying? And I remember, I never forget that conversation, because it always made me think. And I've been around white people all my life. You know what I'm saying? And it's true. It's like you, wherever you go, they're so uptight all the time. They're uptight. They're always worried about this or worried about that. They're afraid of this or afraid of that. And then they try to counter that fear by doing something stupid, by hurting themselves. I mean, you can find all kinds of Vines and YouTube videos of white people abusing themselves. Look, you ain't going to see nobody else but white boys abusing themselves, hurting themselves, doing stupid stuff to hurt themselves, jumping into cactuses, doing everything and anything to not only tempt God, but to hurt themselves physically. And their, I guess, sad way of trying to conquer their fears. You know what I'm saying? And I looked at that and I was like, wow, all of white people I'm ever being around is not all of them. Again, not all of them, because you do find some that are, if they're around black people all the time, they're very expressive, they're very honest, they come out, they don't even act white, they just act like a person. You know, that's why I always say that there's white people, and I'm referring to an ideology, and then there's light-skinned people, where they just people. You don't feel like they're white, you don't feel like they're black, you don't feel like anything. They're just people. And there's black people the same way. There's black people that have this ideology, I'm a black man and I'm a black woman. And then you have people who are just dark-skinned, and they just fit in. You can find them all around, just having all kinds of white friends, having a good time, because again, they understood that they're just a person. It's all psychosomatic. It's all in the head. Those people who think that they're black now are subjugated to all of these rules and regulations and misconceptions that follow black people. Same thing for white people. The people that consider themselves white are subjugated to all of these rules and regulations and misconceptions that go along with being white. But if you throw all of that away and just be a person, well, hey, you finally elevated. You finally evolved into being a human being. Thank you for listening. Leave your comments below. Hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I helped. I hope I educated you.
When the Saharan climate improved again, DNA evidence, coincidentally, shows a second great migration. This was the big one. Our ancestors moved into the heart of Europe and Asia, then later across a land bridge into the Americas. Wherever they went, humans adapted to the climate and new diets. People moving into northern climates lost the melanin in their skins. Melanin inhibits the production of vitamin D by sunlight. That's no problem in sunny Africa, but a drawback in northern latitudes.